Okay, great. Thank you, Eric. And as always, thank you to Karen as well for holding down and making this possible, because it just wouldn't come off as well if it was just me doing it at all. I would, I don't know if there would be anything happening if it was just me trying to do shit in the world right now. So, thank you all so much. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for those of you who are new for being here, taking a chance. It's really wonderful to see so many of you practicing with us. And of course, this is our fourth year doing Medicine Buddha as a response to COVID. And we will continue forever and ever and ever, just because this is the practice that will never end. Um, so wonderful. As Eric pointed out, all the programs that are coming up online, please check those out. Ancestor work is going to be really important and really great. I do a lot of ancestor work with folks, and I've been called to do more of that, with folks. So that will definitely be a big part of the offerings in the future for everyone, for sure. Okay. But yeah, today in practice, I really want to do a little bit of somatic work with us in the practice. Just some very, very gentle kind of working with our hands a little bit, kind of like this somatic mudra work, I guess, but not anything too involved. Um, but just using somatic work to just experience a little more grounding. It feels as if people are a little bit kind of ungrounded, and so we're going to work with this practice to kind of ground and settle more. Hopefully this is something we feel comfortable in offering others in our lives as well, particularly kids, children. I think this practice will be really good for kids to learn as well. So we'll see. As always, I know some of you are new, and we've covered so much material the past 4 years, and we've had probably what, two 1 day full day retreats. We're going to get back into that. We'll schedule something later. I would in the future love to do residential retreats on Medicine Buddha. I'm being asked to make Medicine Buddha, this particular tradition that I'm developing, much more accessible and much more in depth. Um, so trying to think about how to do that as well. But anyway, there'll be more things. But anyway, as I was saying, we've covered so much material, and one of the things I want us to be reminded of, especially for those who haven't heard this, is that when we're talking about modalities of healing, when we're talking about particularly this tradition, Medicine Buddha, which is a tantric tradition, of healing, you know, Medicine Buddha, is a wisdom deity, like all the Buddhas are wisdom deities. Wisdom deities are deities that arise directly out of emptiness. Um, and these are the Buddhas, right? And that's what makes Buddhism a little different, right? It's like we're working first with connecting to these wisdom manifestations, wisdom meaning emptiness, compassion, arising out of that pure, very pure, direct, authentic intention of freedom and liberation, right? Um, but as we've talked about in the past, the Buddhas are always working with worldly deities, and worldly deities are very powerful beings who haven't necessarily obtained full awakening, like a wisdom Buddha, or just a wisdom being, because there's wisdom beings in all traditions. But worldly being, meaning that this being still has some identification with ego, but is actually quite powerful. right? And there's a different etiquette, of course, working with worldly deities for those of us who are in kind of other traditions. I'm very situated these days in West African religions, so there's a particular etiquette that I have to follow with the deities of my ancestors, right? So it's like working with people. I'm working in a relationship with people. I don't necessarily have to have the same etiquette with Tara or Medicine Buddha, Chinrezig, and so forth, but you do with beings who are very like particular about what they need from us, right? However, there are many worldly deities who really like what the Buddhas are doing, you know, so they take on the costume, the drag of Buddhas, and other pure beings to help, right? And so this absolutely happens with Medicine Buddha, that there are healing spirits and deities who take on the expression of Medicine Buddha to be of benefit. Um, and so this is often what's happening with many of us in our practice, right? Um, of course, this framework is very indigenous, and very like rooted, and these kind of ancient frameworks of working with the unseen as well. So when we're calling all these beings in our practice, as we often do, we're calling in a lot of these deities and spirits who have chosen to align themselves with Medicine Buddha, and thus have chosen to be of as much benefit as possible with us. So I think in the future, what I want to start doing, with people, with you all, those of you who've been really in Medicine Buddha for years, we're going to start just working on setting up an altar practice to start actually or just creating space for these healing spirits that you've been channeling and working with in our practice, because you have, you know, um, and that's just going to kind of be some of the places that we're moving into, as well. So lots to look forward to, absolutely. There's a lot happening. And my website is actually not an indicator of exactly everything that's happening with the work. Um, so having said all of that, right, just to know that when we do this practice, we're not just practicing like Buddhism, we're actually doing a lot of ancestral work. We're actually doing a lot of work with the land around us. We're connecting to a lot of different kinds of energies that we have ancestral karma with, right? And I feel like that's so exciting, right? To experience that, you know. Um, and tonight, I wanted to um maybe we've done this once already, I forget, but this whole notion of laying on of the hands, because I come from ministers and this is what we do, right? Um, so activating our hands, and of course, for those of you who have maybe like trained in Reiki, I've trained in Reiki, I'm a Reiki master as well. We do a lot of like hand activation, of course, using our hands to move energy, to settle energy, transfer energy, is a big part of the tradition as well. But I wanted to see what we could do to activate, some of these energies for us, and then just to like apply this to our bodies and just see, and of course, using Medicine Buddha to activate and awaken these energies as we always do, right? Um, laying on the hands, of course, is a tradition, a healing modality that's seen in all traditions, all cultures, I think, it was laying on the hands is, who knows? Who knows where we're at in my family? But my grandfather, James Moses, who I talk about in the New Saints, had, these incredible healing powers through his hands. Um, if you've seen or read For Color Girls um, by Ntozake Shange, we'll just forget that that was a movie as well. So we'll just bypass the movie, return back to the book. The closing scenes of the book were about laying on other hands when the women come back together to heal each other, which I think is one of the most powerful scenes in literature, that like we can heal ourselves. We just have to learn how to touch ourselves, right? And to ground in deep love for one another. This is where this tradition of laying on the hands it comes from, is the way that communities and people within communities cared for each other. It's the way not just healing was transmitted, but stories and narratives were transmitted. They were transmitted through touch and touching and healing. And this is something that for many of us, we like we have a lot of perhaps woundedness around touching and being touched, right? Um, and this is why I think somatic work is really important for us right now, um, because it can restore, gentle touching, like just that gentle movement, gentle touching can really begin to restore um, a lot of what's been depleted through the harm that many of us have survived, as well. But at my practice, when I think about hands, I think about my ancestors in particular, because hands were so important. This is how we did things. This is how we created things and molded and shaped. This is how we buried our dead. This is how we made food for people. This is how we held babies. This is how we cared for the sick, right? Um, and so hands are a big kind of symbol in my ancestral line. When we talk about doing hard work, like when me and the ancestors are working and pushing through things, it's the symbol of like our hands together, clasped together, saying, okay, we're doing this together. We hold on together to each other, right? Which is such a powerful experience to have, right? To feel your ancestors holding on to each other, holding on to you, right? And I hope, this is where we get with our ancestor work for all of you, to get to a place where like you're just in this deep communion with ancestors. And it's not supposed to be fun, it's not, it's, you know, like it's not about fun. It's about recognizing and understanding that you're connected to beings and that there is a responsibility in terms of that recognition of connectivity, that we can't actually get free without recognizing the totality of who and what we are and who we are in relationship with. Right? You have to begin to work with the unseen if you really want to see the change you wish to see in this world. Because I like good for you if you're voting for Biden. Hooray for you, right? I'm not saying that I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm just saying hooray for your trust in the system. However, because we live in a colonized society, we refuse to look at the signs. And the signs are saying we're going to have to be doing something else, right? Besides voting. I talk about this in New Saints. This isn't new. Um, but, as Harriet Tubman would say too, and I was just reading some of Spring Washam's work, The Spirit of Harriet Tubman today, where Harriet again was reminding me, it's like if you're not connected to the unseen world, you're not going to see the freedom that you need to see, you know? Like you rely on everything else except for your resources, at your disposal to get free. And this is what these practices are reminding us and teaching us, that we're connected to this energy, to these beings who want us to be free, right? But we have to do the labor in remembering who these beings are and connecting to these beings and establishing deep relationship, right? Like we have to return back into relationship with the unseen world. And that especially includes the ancestors, right? Um, and that's, that's just, that's this whatever it is I'm creating in the world, right? And it seems like every few years I'm creating something all over again, but like whatever is happening, this is going to be the center of what's happening, is like, let's remember the unseen, you know. Let's normalize talking to dead people, for instance. Not all dead people, obviously, because some of them are just like too much to deal with, but let's normalize ancestors. Let's normalize the land guardians and the elemental spirits. Let's normalize all these beings, plant consciousness and animal consciousness. Let's normalize that. We were doing all this work in Colorado 2 weeks ago. We were just like, we're going to talk to the animal spirits. We're going to talk to the plants. We're going to talk to the ancestors, right? We're going to speak in tongues, all that stuff. We're going to talk to the aliens, right? We're going to do it all, right? Let's just normalize it. Everyone, I don't want to keep going on because I didn't want to actually talk about anything tonight. I just wanted to practice. But, everyone's so into like Harry Potter, Harry Potter this, Harry Potter that. I'm a little too old for Harry Potter, it never hit me like it did some of my younger friends. But, everyone's like, oh, I wish I could have had that childhood, but you can have it now. Like, I don't understand. Like, we all come from magical people, and traditions. And we just have to remember. I know people who are just doing this intense work of reclaiming and restoring ancestral magic and traditions. Like people are doing genealogical research to figure out where their people come from and going back to that land to rediscover that work and the magic and the traditions and the ceremonies is so important. It's so important in terms of like, if you're white, like you need to remember where you come from, because whiteness is not where you come from, nor is blackness where I come from. I mean, we need to return all the way back before race was an issue and remember, our indigenous and what I sometimes feel primordial connection to the unseen, right? To restore a sense of identity that transcends domination or subjugation, matter of fact, right? We have to transcend the duality of subjugation, and domination. And that means returning back to the past, remembering like, where we come from, who we come from, and how our people relied on the natural world and the unseen world. They didn't have iPhones and TVs and all this shit. They weren't busy trying to, save up money to go to school or retirement. And like they just weren't doing that. They were living on the land. They were praying to the fire gods. They, I mean, all of that. And that's what I want to do. Right. I just want to like return back to relationship and communion, right, with the unseen. I'm already there. I mean, it's just like I'm just like living in the unseen world as we speak right now. But I hope that this is what this practice has been opening up for you, particularly those of you who've been, with us for the years now. This is remembering, right? And not to be afraid. I know this can sound really scary. And it maybe sometimes it was for me, this remembering, but like it's like over time it begins to feel like coming home to a home that you didn't even know you were missing, right? It's coming home to truth and to simplicity. I don't often frame simplicity in a positive light, but like simplicity meaning like it was just it's very like this is just what you do. You pray, you offer, you help. When people are hungry, you feed them. People are sick, you offer medicine. You remember that the earth is just full of medicine, right? That you can just go out your front door and the medicine just is just growing, and we call them weeds, but they're medicines. Like the plant consciousness, our plant siblings are always trying to get us free, and they want to get us free. They want us to be in relationship with them. They want us to talk to them. They want us to hug them and tell them stories. I know this sounds like super woo-woo, but like, it's just kind of how it is. you know, Human consciousness is lowest, one of the lower consciousnesses on the scale, like plant and animal consciousness are much higher than human consciousness. So maybe we should like learn from them, you know, learn how to get free from like the rigidity of systemic conditioning, from the brutality of illusion, this carceral reality, that just creates these layers of suffering, suffering after suffering. And you have to get to a point where you have to choose something else. And you have to remember that there are beings living free. The dandelions are living free. you know, the nettles are living free outside, like they are free, right? And why can't we be free, right? Um, and if you're like, well, I have to vote to get free, then that's the wrong kind of freedom you're working for then, you know, like you just have to choose freedom, right? Anyway, there's enough of that. Enough of that. You can go read a book. Go read New Saints. But let's begin. Let's get into it. As usual, prayer requests go on the doc. I should pull that up too, so I'm not looking for it when it's time. And get your prayer request up, and then we will, of course, start our practice, get into it. I'll offer the prayer request. And as always, I just want to always apologize for mispelling, mispronouncing names and everything. 'Cause I have butchered some shit reading these, but if it's important, phonetically spell it out in parentheses for me if it's super important. But if not, it's in God's hands as to how I'm pronouncing, And it doesn't have to mean it, believe me, it's not like it can be any name. So you might have to spell out Mike as well, put some phonetic spelling there, because when I'm in that zone, I'm just like, ooh, what's that word? But anyway, just apologies, for mispronouncing anything. But go ahead and put the prayer request up. We'll offer those in the middle of our practice. So let's begin. And always allow yourself to come into a position that feels appropriate for you. And if you're new to the space, again, just, everything's guided. So just, follow along, do whatever feels good for you. If it doesn't, then don't do it. It's fine, right? Um, but you can lie down, you can sit up, you can do whatever you need to do, but make this space your own. Let your body come into a position that feels supportive, um, that feels as if you can hold both comfort and discomfort together with an awareness. And just keep responding to your body. Just keep responding, right? Be in, as of course, as we often say, be in a responsive relationship with everything, right? Including our bodies. Not reactive, but responsive. Responsive meaning that, yeah, I get to choose, what I do to tend to my body, to tend to anything that arises. That's responsiveness. We want to choose from an experience of care, deep care for ourselves and for others. Of course, at the top of our practice, I invite you just to awaken your intention for your practice. And of course, our intention is to get free and to help others get free. And to do that, we are engaging in this work, this practice, and this practice, this time related to the tradition of medicine Buddha, and really the lineage of all beings committed to the healing and liberation of all beings. That's what you're really committed to. Of course, when you're ready, I invite you to shift your attention to the seat, noticing how the seat rises to hold you, how your body is being supported and tended to by the seat. And of course, beneath us is the land. So acknowledging the land that we're living on, practicing on right now. And it's almost as if you're greeting. Allow yourself to greet the land, the earth. And I think this is where so much of our medicine actually begins to awaken is our capacity to acknowledge, to greet the land as the land, I believe, is the origin, the giver of all of our medicine, as it is the giver of life. So without relationship to the land, it's hard to awaken our capacity to heal. And so when you're ready, shifting your attention to the base of your spine, as we often do, beginning to inhale up the spine to the top of the head, inhaling through our noses as we exhaling out of our mouths down to the bottom of our spines. So again, inhaling up through the nose to the top of the head, exhaling out of the mouth, descending to the base of the spine. letting your attention follow that breath up and down the spine, which is also, we can call the central channel or the Uma. And this is a kind of breath that can begin to maybe stabilize, calm the nervous system, especially as we descend down the spine, coming back into touching the seat, noticing the land under us. But as we inhale, moving our attention up to the top of the head, we start to connect to the sky, to the space above our heads, feeling that openness as we inhale, reconnecting to the groundedness as we exhale. And so over time in this practice, what we're doing is connecting both the experience of groundedness through the seat and the earth with the experience of openness and spaciousness at the top of our heads. So you're bringing another language is that you're bringing heaven and earth together into one experience. And just a few more breaths here. And so shifting our attention now to the space around us and imagining that the space around you, that you begin to call in all of your benefactors. Of course, all the members of your homecoming circles, including just calling in our teachers and guides, our elders, calling in our communities, all the deities and spirits we feel close to, calling in our benevolent ancestors. So calling in the ancestors who are resourced to support us in this practice, as well as all of our lineages that we feel connected to. So calling in all these benefactors, and they begin to fill the space around us. And slowly we imagine that they begin to radiate with the energy of care. So the space around us begins to feel illuminated as our benefactors begin to radiate their care for us. So as we're imagining our benefactors radiating, glowing around us, we're going to transition now to preparing our hands for activation. So when you're ready, of course, this is optional, everything is optional. If you want to move forward, I just invite you just to bring your palms in front of you. They can be rested on your lap or your knees, right? But just imagine that they're up. The palm is up somehow in a way that feels supportive, right? And there are many ways to move about activating our hands for this kind of work and cleansing and purifying and all of that. But for our purposes in this medium right now, we're going to kind of cleanse our hands, right? And just to know before you do any kind of laying on the hands, even just for yourself, you want to cleanse your hand, right? Ritually cleanse your hands, you know. So we're going to do that through our mantra. So this is the first mantra, Omen La Sange Kino Soha. And so again, we start with an elongated and then we chant the mantra 3 times, and then we end with another elongated all right? So we're gonna do that, and then at the last I want you to blow on your hands, right? Because the idea here is that after you have chanted this mantra, the mantra itself is a cleansing mantra, so your breath is awakened, your speech is awakened. And so once your breath and speech have awakened through the chanting of this mantra, then your breath can be used to bless things and cleanse things. And that's always the case, you know. So you're gonna blow on your hands after we finish the mantra, and that's gonna be our symbolic cleansing of our hands, right? So let's move through that. So beginning with and then moving into the mantra, okay? Om. Om la sange kino so Om la sange kino so Om la sange kino so And now with the purification of the mantra still fresh on your breath, you can go ahead and blow on our palm one at a time. And having blessed our palms with our breath, all this negative karma that can easily be transferred from our cells back into our cells has been disrupted and so forth, right? Our hands are becoming activated, and that activation is really subtle energy, our chi or long, depending on the tradition, but subtle energy, life force energy. We begin to feel, and we can maybe sense life force energy or this kind of energy in our hands through warmth. Sometimes it feels like electricity is kind of moving through our hands. Sometimes it feels maybe as if water, cool water is moving through your hands as well, flowing. You can even bring your hands together and just really begin to sense like the warmth, which is the energy that we're awakening, just kind of manifesting between our hands. You're not even touching your hands together, but just feeling that warmth. And one thing also that comes through from my ancestry is that we clap to like clap 3 times, and that actually can actually activate some stuff. So I'll do that once, for myself, and you can do this in your space as well. So having moved through that, so this is just the beginning. So keeping our palms up, we return our attention back to our circle of benefactors around us. And as they have been radiating with this energy of care for us, which is deep love, concern for our liberation, our safety, we begin to imagine that they begin to radiate that energy of care into our palm. And so their energy begins to activate our hands as well. And we begin to imagine that as our benefactors are sharing this energy into the palms of our hands, that images of a medicine Buddha begin to awaken in our hands, like right in the palm of our hands. And of course, whatever kind of representation or expression of medicine Buddha arises is fine. Or a feeling that medicine Buddha is appearing in the palms of our hands as well, that's okay. Or just trust or belief that something's happening, even though we may not feel it or see it. Visually or in our mind's eye, everything is fine. So medicine Buddha begins to awaken in the palms of our hands. And we chant the mantra again 3 times, just going right into it, right? Men la sangye ki no so Om men la sangye ki no so Om men la sangye ki no so And in this space, we offer a prayer to Medicine Buddha. We pray that our hands become expressions of healing, of benefit, and of liberation for all beings, including ourselves. That the deep love of the universe and all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and all the beings who want us to be free, that all of this energy is channeled through our hands, through our bodies, in the service of healing and freedom for all of us, for all beings. And to say that our intention is only to be of benefit, not to hurt or to harm, but to be of benefit, to help, to restore, to heal, to bring back into balance. And we pray to the lineage of Medicine Buddha and all the beings connected to Medicine Buddha that we are gifted with this profound capacity to be the medicine that so many beings desperately need right now, and that this medicine may flow through our hands to free all beings. And having offered that prayer, I have offered that on behalf of all of us. Our hands become awakened, the energy, the consciousness of Medicine Buddha and all the healing spirits and deities that accompany Medicine Buddha are now attuned and channeling and moving through our hands. And as we transition now into our main practice, which is the recitation of our main mantra, that these hands will begin to offer healing first to our bodies, and then slowly begin to imagine later in the practice that our hands begin to offer healing to others as well. Right? So to transition into our main mantra, so I want to encourage you to bring your right hand to your solar plexus area. So your navel, your belly button. So bringing your right hand down, actually bringing the left hand down first and then your right hand. There is a kind of order here, but it's never been that necessary for me. So you do whatever feels intuitive and natural in terms of stacking your hands, but just bringing them just together, like they're like this, but they're just over at your navel. And so slowly beginning to feel that energy flowing from your hands into your navel, your guts, into the solar plexus, which is the third chakra. And allowing that energy to begin to ground you. So that's the first position we'll start with as we move through the mantra. So letting that, your hands and the healing of your hands really ground you. As we move into the mantra, Teata, Bacon Ma, Bacon Raso Sumungate Soha. And you can chant along or just listen as well. The mantra is in the chat box. All right. O te ada begenze ma begenze rasa sumungate soha 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 te ada begenze 수문간에 소아 대한다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라서 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 수문간에 소아. So now for the second position, I want you to lift your top hand and place your top hand over your heart center. So you have a hand over your heart center and at the base of your stomach as well. And we'll move back into mantra. 대한다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라서 수문간에 소아 대한다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라서 수문간에 소아 대한다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라서 수문간에 And so for a third position here, before we go into our prayer offerings, I invite you to take your hand from your stomach, from your solar plexus, and then bring that to the back of your neck. So you will be sitting like this. And of course, if this doesn't feel appropriate, you can come back to any position that feels good for you. But going into this just for a minute or two as we go into the third part of the mantra, and then we'll break and offer prayers, and you can come back into a rest position during prayers. Okay? O te ana begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razazumu zoa. 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 Now I'm just turning attention to our prayer requests. And again, calling into the space all the Buddhas, all the Bodhisattvas, all the beings that can hold our prayers. And call again the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the Yidams, the Dharma protectors, all the guardians and protectors of the land, and the elements, all benevolent ancestors, all beings of light, angels, and so forth. We call all the beings from all the worlds and all the realms committed to the liberation of all beings from the cycle of delusion, from the cycle of carcerality. We call you into this space to hear our prayers, and we ask you to move and work on our behalf to bring about the fruition of our prayers as we too are doing our part and moving energies to create benefit for those that we're offering in prayer. Okay? So we're offering prayers from my inner child's heart and my friend Mutan, offering prayers for Sanchin to choose the help we are offering him. Offering prayers for our sweet Marley, our little dog we said goodbye to this weekend. Thank you for your boundless love, Marley. You gave us so much and brought so much joy to our lives. Rest in peace, little one. Offering prayers to die, to heal, and recover from her sickness and injury. Offering prayers for the mental and physical healing of Abby, Leah, Connie, and me. Prayers for our queer ancestors and all those fighting and suffering from oppression. Offering prayers for peace and liberation. Offering prayers for my daughter and I that we thrive completely and fully in this new chapter of our lives. Offering prayers for Cynthia that she has freedom from fear as she's in her dying process, that she feels love, safety, and stability. Offering prayers for Penny, who passed away and entered the bardo last week. Offering prayers for myself and my children. May we heal and have energy to do the things we love. Offering prayers for Elle, may they feel my appreciation. Offering prayers for my broken heart, for my broken, open, frightened heart, which is the heart of a small child, not cut out for any of what life has thrown to me. Offering prayers for all my beloveds, prayers for all we are, for may prayers that may we all feel deeply held in care, all beings. Offering prayers for Palestinian youth, prayers for clarity and stamina to finish this PhD program this summer. Offering prayers for my ongoing cancer treatment, prayers for my husband's recovery from knee surgery, prayers for my brother Michael and my friend Richard. May they experience healing and freedom. Offering prayers for myself and my partner as we navigate the health of ourselves and our families. Offering prayers and blessings for the Cohen family. So much gratitude for their generosity in opening their home to me this week and being in family life with me. Offering prayers for my dad as he heals from his knee surgery. Offering prayers for my sister as she navigates life on the West Coast. Bring her home safely. Offering prayers for my mom. May she feel peace and ease in her days. Offering prayers for WR and his family as he deals with reoccurrence of cancer. Offering prayers for peace and freedom in my little town. Offering prayers for all those suffering from immune deficiency caused by COVID and from long COVID. Offering prayers for Eddie having surgery tomorrow. Offering prayers for peace of mind. May I let go of anger from a conflict with my Sangha. May I take care of myself and my grief. Offering prayers for Porter. May they be well. Offering prayers for my continued healing. May I experience greater joy, ease, and freedom so that I may share all these gifts with others. Offering prayers for peace, prayers that we can find the courage to forgive those who have hurt me, prayers that I can find the humility to apologize to those I have wronged. Offering prayers for Destiny, Naz, and the twins, prayers for Joanne and her grieving heart. Offering prayers for Jay for a smooth, easeful, full recovery from surgery today. Prayers of thanks for today's much needed rain. Prayers for all those grieving loss of relationships in the many forms that arises. May we all find deep, authentic, compassionate, reciprocal relationships within the context of deep community care. Offering prayers for Sen, offering prayers for Netanyahu, that Netanyahu be held meaningfully accountable in our time. May accountability that transcends the limitations or the limits of incarceration take shape. Offering prayers that America's maternal mortality crisis be resolved. May birth work become normalized, and may the health and well-being of women and people who give birth be prioritized. May Black mothers in particular be protected from neglect, and may all interference with our well-being, with their well-being, knowing or unknowing, come to an end. Offering prayers that all that OBGYN workers suffering harassment, intimidation, and discrimination be protected. May all those who devote themselves to the health and dignity of women and femmes be held in prayer for the Sangha, by the Sangha. Offering prayers that the global totalitarian movement is brought to a decisive end. May we all appreciate our need to get free and decide that work is well worth it. May we all choose ourselves and stop seeking out daddies and elected officials. May we choose a real democracy over farce. Offering prayers for Lama Justin. Offering prayers for my children and grandchildren that they can navigate as a family the challenges of the children's sensory disorders. Offering prayers for patients with the continued work to recover from knee surgery. Prayers to not get discouraged by the sheer volume of work that needs doing in all categories of being a human who cares in this time. Offering prayers for my sister who is having a hip replacement on Wednesday. May she heal well and completely. May I be able to care for her with compassion and love as she heals. We do not need to both either way. That's obviously not what we need to do, but any means we need to do that. May we all vote. Offering prayers for Savannah. May we get through this together, intact and loved and fully protected. Offering prayers for our 21-year-old son, Lucas, so that he will receive a kidney donation soon, and prayers for all healers and lineage carriers getting us through this difficult time. Offering prayers for liberation from all suffering from turmoils from the past. Prayers so that I can navigate these new diagnoses with clarity and realistic hope. Offering prayers for continued healing and recovery from a stroke. May he find balance in the transition and find ways to continue offering his healing medicine to himself and the communities he is a part. Offering prayers for healing the sacred masculine in our ancestral lineages, for clarity in each of our purposes, seeing and honoring the signs and coming into our individual medicines to aid in the liberation of all beings. Offering prayers for my dear friend Isaac as he struggles with depression and navigating the medical industrial complex. May he be well, may he be cared for, may he know he is cared for. Offering prayers for my cousin Emma as they take the next steps in their healing journey from cancer. May they have courage, clarity, and trust as they move through these next weeks, and may they be completely healed from cancer. Offering prayers for my dear friend Lindsay as she heals from a broken ankle. May her body heal swiftly, and may she be receptive to the care she's receiving from her community in the process. Offering prayers for me to meet my mistaken Offering prayers for me to meet my mistake and my own capacity for violence with deep compassion and wisdom. I'm immersed in violence at the moment and pray for protection and that I learn what I need to right now. I pray that the violence ends quickly somehow, that I stay safe and that I hold on to my well being. May all beings be free. May all beings benefit from life's blessings toward freedom. May I support Lama Rod's complete freedom in every way possible. Offering prayers for my parents as we navigate their health crisis. Prayers that we can ensure their dignity as they age. Prayers that we recognize their spirits as they age. Prayers that we find a way through the landscape of elder care that is rooted in care, compassion, and liberation. Prayers for my sister Lynn Ashley to find safety in her body and to tend to the ancestral grief she carries with her so she can be free. Offering prayers for all of my family. Prayers for my grandfather who is entering hospice. Prayers for Mason as she steps into a new adventure. Offering prayers for all families' health and well-being. May we continue to awaken and remember who we are. Prayers for connection with my ancestors. Prayers to shine. Prayers that me and my wife and all beings may learn to live more at ease. Prayers for Mama Sue. She is recovering from a car accident and waiting to find out about the results of some potentially hard new scans of her bones. And prayers for me as I care for and hold her through this. Offering prayers and healing for my nephew Harrison and sister Andrea for his life-threatening epilepsy and Lennox gastro syndrome. May he have relief from seizures and my sister get rest and peace from her broken heart. Offering prayers for me that I can sleep, that I have groundedness, centeredness, relaxation, trust, and wisdom to handle all of my stress so that I can move through this period in my life with openness and with skillfulness. Prayers that I may listen and hear the guidance of my guides and ancestors to come into my role in our collective liberation. Offering prayers for the deep liberation of my beloveds, may we continue to honor the path of open-heartedness together. Offering prayers for peace and healing for myself and others. Offering prayers for the crow fledgling that died in our yard this morning. May your spirit find its way. Offering prayers for my mom's beloved cat, Tito, who went missing 2 weeks ago. May he be liberated. Prayers for my mom in her grief. And I offer prayers for David and his recovery, also for Reggie and his continued recovery as well. I continue to pray for the liberation of all beings, for all wars, famines, genocides to be completely ended, that we remember our innate and awakened nature as quickly as possible, and that we may enter into a golden age, an abolitionist future where all systems of violence are completely abolished. May this be so, along with all the prayers that we've offered. May all of this come to pass and fruition as quickly as possible. May it be so. So now moving back into just a short period of mantra recitation, I invite you now to just lay hands wherever on your body you need hands laid right now. Wherever you are feeling called to lay hands, lay those hands on your body as we move into the last period of mantra recitation and letting that energy flow, right, and heal. Okay, so we begin again. O te anda began ze began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa te anda began ze ma began ze rasa sumungatis oa. So just returning our attention back to the seats, back to your hands. And we can, again, bring our palms out again. And we thank our hands. Of course, we thank the blessing of Medicine Buddha and all the spirits and deities who are offering their energy and their capacity to us right now. We thank them for their love, for their guidance. And we bring our palms up into prayer mudra. And imagining that as we bring our palms together into prayer mudra, that our palms, our hands begin to deactivate, they turn off. So we're putting on the off switch. We bring the palm of our hands back down to our legs, our thighs, wherever feels grounding. Just put them down, face down somewhere on your body or on your seat as well. And we turn our attention back to our benefactors around us and we thank them again for their support. And we imagine that they dissolve completely into white light, and that white light is absorbed directly into our heart centers. All right. And when you're ready, just beginning to reawaken your body through some simple movements, some deep stretches, maybe some deep breaths. And we turn our attention to Shantideva's prayer in the chat box. We'll recite this a few times, well, 3 times. Okay, and we begin. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring a further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader to those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. thank you all so much. Now that blessing, that hand blessing is something you can use. You're not a faith healer now. Like don't be going out talking about how Lama Rod authorized you to lay hands on people because people do that. You'll give someone an inch, they'll take a couple of miles, and all of a sudden they're this healing guru when all you gave them was like a 30-minute practice. But listen, this is for your own use, for your personal use, for your healing, and and people can consent, right? But just it's for people, your beloveds. This is for your beloveds. This isn't for the masses, right? So your kids, your beloveds, your family, people who are intimate with you, use this practice with them with consent. But don't go hanging out that shingle. I'm talking about you're laying hands on people now, all right? So please, please don't do that. Just do that favor for me. I'll deeply appreciate that, and we'll continue more with these kinds of practices in the future as well. Okay. So thank you all so much. And I think that's it. As for this week, I don't have anything else going on publicly. All right.
Thank you so much, Lama Rod, for all of the blessings you share so generously each week. And this blessing in particular was really sweet. Thank you. Thank you all for being here as well. Thank you all for showing up and for helping make all of this possible. And just in closing, I'm just going to drop just a reminder that if this opportunity supports your liberation, please consider practicing generosity to help sustain Lama Rod and the blessings of this very important and profound lineage as expressed through Lama Rod Owens, just to continue working, doing its work in the world. Anything is appreciated. And also the quick links document there. Check out all of the things. We'll keep the love flowing, keep the blessings flowing. And we will see you again, same time, same place next week. Thank you all for being here. Take care of yourselves.
You
And
all. See you next
bye.
week.